And we're live with the No Faces Comic Chat. I am your host, Bub of Bub's World. And with me, as always, the late, the great, the never too old to confiscate, Metarog.
Greetings, everyone. Hopefully you don't mean late as in deceased.
No, I mean late because you showed up like 2 seconds before showtime.
Oh, well, that's true this time. Yes, that's true. Great to be back here, man. We got the original gang back together here, so I'm excited. I'm excited tonight.
Speaking of everybody's favorite second and or third wheel, let's just say it's a tripod, and without a single leg, we fall right down. DS Comics.
Good to be here. Good to be here. I feel like I haven't been on the show in ages, and it's tough, but I'm super excited to be here back tonight with you guys. So yeah, awesome.
Glad to have you. Woo! Hey!
Yeah, I've missed too many shows. I've got, I've told both of you guys backstage like what's going on. It's all good stuff, but it's just life gets busy. We have day jobs and other obligations, and it's just making my schedule is just chaos right now. And so it's making it tough to get the appearances on the shows that I do and to do other stuff, YouTube comic related stuff. And tonight we're good. So I'm here and you guys are here, so we should have a good show.
Oh yeah, we definitely will. I talked to Roger yesterday, and he promised that DS would make sure it was a good show. So now we have confirmation of that. So thank you both.
I guess I must have been not paying attention yesterday, but okay.
Yeah, probably. You text in your sleep. I didn't know if anyone told you
maybe,
that. Yeah. I wanted to also say that we had people tailgating. Great. Everyone's excited to see DS back on the program and be back at our regular time. Everyone's super excited. They've been sending me messages all week long saying, when's DS coming back? And if they don't, they're rioting. There's going to be riots in the streets. I said, look, put down your pitchforks. We'll bring him back on. So here he is, back by popular demand. Thanks for making it.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm not sure how popular the demand was because I've checked out in my absence. You guys are killing it. And that's what I like to see. I like to be not needed. That means when I am here, it's because I'm wanted. So, you guys definitely killing it in the absence of me on the shows we've had lately. So, but I'm back tonight, so let's do it up.
I like it. We're gonna make it happen.
We definitely missed you, man, because you know how Bub is. He's out of control, and there's no way one person can control him. It takes both of us.
That's true. Now we've had some fill-in guests. We appreciate everybody who's chipped in DS's extended absence, and who knows, he may not make it next week. So enjoy him while you got him.
There we go.
Let's see. We've got with us in the tailgate, and we had Las Cruces 1971 with the woohoo and the hooray. Unruly Simeon throwing up the peace sign. Thank you, sir. I'm going to try it. George Sideropoulos is here as well. How'd I do, Roger?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Whew, man, I could feel the Greek flowing. And we got Las Cruces 19. Wait, how many times is this guy going to make noises? He's like, have you guys ever been to Nashville?
Yes.
So then you know that somewhere around 8 p.m., the streets are littered with slightly heavy ladies in high heel boots and cowboy hats, making this very sound right here. Woo! And then usually a heel snaps, hits the floor. There's a lot of laughter, and then they drag the lame off into the cabs. So that's Nashville in a nutshell, folks.
I don't recall that last part, but I do remember the ladies out in the street.
You probably didn't stay out late enough to see that.
No. 10:30, 11. I'm
quick
down.
digression of human agility.
I'll have to check that out because I've learned a new word recently. Is nyctophilia. I think I have nyctophilia. Nyctophilia is a love of the dark and the night. And so like when it starts to get like 11 o'clock at midnight, I get excited and I'm wired and I'm up and I love it. And sometimes I'll honestly go outside at 2 a.m. and just stand there and listen and look up at the moon. And I probably look crazy, but I love nighttime. So if I was in Tennessee, I would definitely up late enough for that.
Absolutely. Well, you have to step over some drunk heifers. It's
Wouldn't
just
be
the way.
time,
Then we got
there's a lot of barbecue flowing in Nashville, so you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep. Well, they say KC masterpiece in the jugular vein. Benny Compton's in the house. Welcome. He's straight out of toilet paper. Kevin Taylor is here as well. Hey, Kevin Taylor made it. Now, due to the time change and all that, he usually doesn't make too many of these chats live, but he's real faithful watching in the replay. So we appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah,
glad you could make it live. Everybody check him out and his cool collection. He's the one that collects a lot of the award-winning comics is his shtick. And boy, do you end up with quite a collection doing that. So fantastic stuff there. Las Cruces 19. Look, Las Cruces. We know you were here first. We know you'll be here last. And we know you'll be the first one to leave a message before you leave.
We're through. Yep.
Yeah, on the way out. So
same thing on my streams. He's always there. He's like old faithful. Yep.
He needs to take a break and watch some YouTube. Bless his heart. DS Comics is here complaining about everybody else that dropped his contract. Slim Comics and More is here. Old Shawnee Boy's here.
Hey, Sean.
Thanks for joining us. I'll have to check out his Midtown review later. It comes on a time. I'm still traveling usually. All right. Yes. Oh my, with the language unruly Simeon. Mark Knapp 68 is here as well. Everyone else is looking for a Knapp 69, but he says I'll take a Knapp 68 and I'll owe you one. Deadpool 2323 is in the house. Aaron, always a pleasure. Anytime you're available, you let us know, and you are more than welcome on. Unruly Seaman is still here. Mark Knapp, Jambo Comics is in the house. Hey, good to have you, brother. Thanks for the fill-ins that you did, and thanks for hanging with me this past week at the Lexington Comic and Toy Convention. I dropped my first haul video this morning, and I've already filmed the second haul video. It'll drop Wednesday morning, so be on the lookout for that, for some good old fun time stories. Bad Dad 320 Morris is in the house. Oh boy, I'd love to just hang out in his barn for about 5 minutes.
That loft of his. Oh man,
yes, wow. Man, it'd just be fantastic. Wow. I wouldn't care if the whole thing smelled of gasoline, like that wouldn't bother me at all. And then when I left, I'll make him happy because he'll have less books to sort because I'm going to walk out with an armful.
I don't think I'll be walking out of there alive.
I don't think I'd make it to the door. What do you think?
No.
We got Cobbies in the house as well. Welcome. Glad to have you. Hope everything is going well up there in the big NYC. Talking about DS barking at the moon. Boy, you know it's true. I bet the moon cowers behind a cloud when he sees DS bare his fangs. All right.
Me and the moon are on better terms than me and the sun. I have a love-hate relationship with the sun, but the moon is just all love.
Yeah, well, the moon smiles back at you. The sun makes you sweat. Comic Mag Musings is in the house as well. Hey, what's going on there, Billy Bong Boy? Good to have you. And Las Cruces. Now, listen, he needs to stop that. BTC Moon Guy is here saying great stuff and thanks. Good to have you. All right, I think I got all caught up, and the next round's all Rogers because I am just wore out. You guys always want me to just talk forever, and I get exhausted. I mean, I just give, and then I give a little bit more. I know you guys have noticed.
You're a giver.
Yeah.
You're a
Does
giver.
anyone remember the top or the team name for tonight? Anybody at all?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's the genuine copies.
What do you say, Roger?
He got it right.
Dang it! No.
Oh, sorry.
Power outage had jumped to my phone. Yeah, there's a lot of power outages going on.
The original copies.
The legitimate facsimiles.
I think that might be it. I think it's the original replicants.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, I thought you would appreciate that. You couldn't even remember the name.
Yes. I do. Blade Runner. If I were to rank sci-fi movies of all time, is that number one? That's top 5. I'm not going to say number 1 because I'll probably forgetting something, but that's way up the list. Top sci-fi all time, Blade Runner.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. 100%. 100%.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I do like Short Circuit though, the first one or the second.
Johnny
Those are pretty high
Five
on my list
alive.
too.
Yeah, I love how there's not going to be any comments about that. But when I say Batman and Robin is awesome, it's like pile on. So
Well, about the only way you could go wrong with Blade Runner is if somebody asks you, do you prefer the commentary cut or the director's cut where there's no commentary and they add a bunch of crap?
Well, I think I purchased the movie and I have the director's cut, so I just watch the director's cut whenever I watch it. And I literally watch that movie. There are some movies I watch over and over and over. I watch Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner, once a week, literally once a week.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't watch it all the way through, but I put it on once a week. And
I haven't seen that kind of dedication since my son was 3 watching Teletubbies. Like that was
yeah, it's that level. That and Tron. I play Tron all the time. And
I'm with you on that one. Yeah.
That's way up my list too.
You know, Bruce Boxleitner was at the convention this weekend, and I almost once again got a signature from him. But every time I've tried in the past, I've tried twice before, and I literally walk up to his table, and he gets up and walks away.
Oh man!
And then someone comes to me and says it's time for his lunch, or he's needed in one of those panel things that they do, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. This guy keeps avoiding me. and then he's going to be there this time. And I was going to go see him. And then I read they put on Facebook or something that you had to wear a mask. He built a screen so you couldn't like shake his hand or get close to him. He had like a plexiglass screen around. Like, does this guy think he's the Queen of England? Forget it. I'm not even going there. I bet he lives just down the road. I'm not messing with him. So.
Yeah, and Jambo through Forbidden Planet, that's up there too. So that one I don't watch quite as much because it's just not as you can't just watch the movie randomly. That's a much more serious watch. But yeah, that's way on the top of my list too.
Yeah.
And then Matrix is
making the best of his internet connection.
Yeah, definitely.
Jay Hood's here. Welcome. Good to have you. Novamad's in the house as well. All right. Talked to him before Bob. Yep. All right. We're all ready to go. Let's don't take that beauty away. He wanted to see some more of them there Planet comics. Hey Roger, are we checking your email or what's going on here?
Well, my other phone is not working, so I can't check the chat. So I figured I'd try it on the computer here.
Oh, don't worry. You can trust us. We'll tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, and Unruly, I'm on a strict strict cycle here. A book every 10 minutes. So we're sticking to a strict schedule over here.
Yeah, he's practicing for his next auction.
Yeah, so 10 minutes between the comics. Now we get 10 minutes on this Avengers Annual 2, which I just sort of discovered this book recently, and it's such a great cover. I just had to buy one.
Is that the one where the old and the new Avengers are battling each other?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a Buscema cover, and it's just this black cover with the two teams going at each other. It's just stupendous stuff. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and so I've just discovered it, and it's apparently pretty hard to find a nice copy. And so I located at 8.0 on Heritage, and it looked really nice. So it's squared up nice. It doesn't have any massive problems. It's a beautiful looking 8.0. So I figured, all right, well, I'll get that copy. It's not the type of book I want to spend a ton of money on, but I just want a nice copy. So this one fits the bill.
I like it.
Cool.
And we got some funny money from old Bill at Comic Mag Musings. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. You're a good man, Charlie Brown. Hold on, DS. I'm having a little tacticular difficulties. There you go. All right, I got you live.
Yeah, we can show up close. This is just such a killer cover with the black, and it's the old team versus the new team. And I like how it's just all the one-on-ones there from top to bottom. Black cover.
Yep, very underrated.
My favorite's the bottom with Black Panther and Hulk going at it. Just sets it off so nice.
It seems like an uneven fight, I got to tell you.
That's not going to last long.
Well, no, I mean,
neither does the Hawkeye Iron Man. I think that is a mixed match as well. I'd like to see the over-under on Hawkeye getting blasted in the face.
He gave him a hard time and Tales of Suspense, though. He gave him a real hard time. But that was when Iron Man had kind of a lesser armor. So.
Well, this looks like one of the lesser armors, too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is 1968, so this is before.
I like the Thor Cat matchup, and I like the Giant Man and wait, is that two giant? Who's that?
Yeah, that's Giant Man. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that one's just
they're from two different realities, I guess, or futures.
Huh. Yeah, that's cool.
Actually, I think Goliath maybe is on the left.
Yeah, I think it's Goliath. Yeah, I agree. All right, so there we go. Look, these guys are arguing about who's the current Cover Slingers champ. The answer is me, because I'm the one that as soon as I win, they don't invite me back for a month because they never let me defend my title. Anyway, all right. So the topic for tonight, though, is origins, comparing origins of characters. And I thought this would be interesting because some origins I really like and I think make a lot of sense, and some I absolutely can't stand. So let's start off with Roger. Well, let's not start off with Roger, because you can be sure Roger's going to pull out some Green Beret or some crap like that. All right, so let's
wow.
So here is an awesome non-origin story, right? You don't know what's really going on. Most of the story takes place. You don't even know that there's anything wrong with Jonah Hex's face. So I love that. Here is a going all the way back to birth origin. Now you don't get much of that.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can go through all the superheroes. Most of them don't start off as babies unless they're being introduced in another title, like say Cable, right? As a baby in the X-Men, you can say he's a baby. Maybe X-23 as a test tube, if you believe the theory on that, but a lot of them you don't get straight from baby on up. And with Action Comics and Superman, you get baby Superman. So how's that for an origin story? Not bad at all, I say. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, I think the Superman origin, some origins are, for lack of a better word, just very shallow. It's just a quick something happened and now they're changed in some way, and that's their origin. Some origins are a full lifetime to get them to where they are now. And Superman's is one of the deepest origins because it's not only the origin of him from birth, it's the origin of his planet even before that. There's a whole backstory with his planet and characters on his planet and materials and principles of physics and the universe. And then he's sent away from that planet. I mean, his origin is really, really deep and well developed, as opposed to some others, which one of my favorite origin stories, just of a type of origin story, is Left for Dead and then Bent on Vengeance. We see that's one of the most common ones, but it's so common because it's just so cool and it just works so good for so many different characters.
And that's what Jonah Hex has, both those.
Oh yeah, I don't know much about Jonah Hex, but I mean, you've got like some.
It's basically Pale Rider. You've seen Pale Rider, right?
Yeah,
Okay, basically that.
Yeah, I mean, but you got like Swamp Thing where there's massive changes, or Solomon Grundy, and then you've got Punisher wasn't left for dead, but his family was killed, and then he's bent on vengeance. So I feel like that the death that changes them and now they're out for vengeance is a very, very popular origin story, and it works great for heroes and anti-heroes, and it's very popular, and there's so many of them. So that's really popular. It's one of my favorite, and I figure a lot of people's favorite too. But I really like Grundy and Swamp Thing, very similar. Left for Dead and sort of rose from the dead, basically. Swamp Thing transformed into what he is, and then Grundy is basically a zombie. So yeah, those are kind of some of my favorite origin stories, that type of thing.
But we also do find out we get a little birthing story from Solomon Grundy, because wasn't he born on a Monday? How many other?
No, he wasn't. So he was left for dead in the swamp, and he was dead, and he was risen. I can't remember exactly how, but he came back from the dead, and as he wandered out of the swamp, the first thing he encountered was like a group of guys around a campfire at the edge of the swamp, so they're like in the forest or whatever. And so he sat down with them, and they were singing that song, or he heard that song. And so when he was asked what his name was, he said Solomon Grundy, because the first thing he had heard when he came back out of the swamp was that song, Born on a Monday, the whole Solomon Grundy.
Baptized on a Tuesday.
So yeah, that song doesn't have anything to do with him. He just grabbed that as his moniker. That was the first thing he heard after sort of being reborn as a zombie. So
yeah. Look at Kavi's making a great point here as well. Killing of the father figure or parents is also popular.
Oh yeah,
biggest characters: Batman, Spider-Man, and etc. Man. He's one of my favorites. His run goes on forever.
Yep. I have one of those right here. Yep, I got one of those.
Etc. Man. Hey. Well, clearly Roger is dying to show a book, so let's go ahead and let me show this one instead. Just because DS has been harping on it this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's my Swampy with the Bernie Sig. Feel the burn. Definitely what is interesting, this is definitely a vengeance and a rebirth as well. And also it's not, I guess it's chemical based. Would you say it's chemical based or more supernatural based?
It's chemical based. I feel like the supernatural qualities about the character are all arise from the chemicals.
Okay.
Yeah, I
would agree with that.
Yeah, I think the supernatural stuff came like later on, kind of little by little. But it was more chemical. Yeah, like Man-Thing originally.
Yeah, I'm going to go with chemical base as well, I think. But it's definitely, as being House of Secrets, has an eerie and an unexpected outcome to his unfortunate accident. Heavy quotes. We know who did it. But anyway, I find it interesting because, this really wasn't meant to be a series, This is just a one and done kind of story that got picked up. So, but it's just absolutely fantastic. Great origin that to me isn't really meant to be. It's just a great story,
Yeah, and it's like it almost for me, Swamp Thing. I mean, look, there's a lot of good even later. The Toddleben art is phenomenal, but it gets a little too far out there for me. But for me, Swamp Thing is basically House of Secrets 92, and then Swamp Thing 1 through 10. We can go a few other issues after the Wrightson stuff, but as a Wrightson fan and the early stuff, that's the Swamp Thing. And really, if that didn't find its way into the comic world, that is just a great novel. If that was just some author wrote that,
yeah.
House of Secrets 92 and Swamp Thing 1 through 10 or 1 through 13, if you want to go there, that would be like just a great novel. It's like a modern. It has some parallels, but it's like a modern classic that like Frankenstein would be, I feel like. But it ended up being in the comics, so we enjoyed it in the comic hobby. But it's that there's so much emotion and action and development in that.
And agony.
Yeah,
it's torturous.
It runs the gamut of emotions, and it's so well written, and the art is spectacular. It's just one of the greatest story arcs in comics, I think.
Yeah, agreed. I'd say it's like more of a gothic Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Kavi's trying to slip. Bill's trying to slip one in there on us. We see what you're doing there, buddy. All right. So Roger's been chomping at the bit.
I just read that.
Yeah, I know. What a bum. So here you go. Go ahead, Roger. Regale us with the Obscura.
Well, we like you guys were talking about the male father figure. Well, father figure. Usually they are male.
These days, who knows?
Yeah, right. So that is killed or somewhere in the line of him getting those powers or going through. Like sometimes it's actually like this one here. He was actually shot while visiting his father figure, which was he was a scientist. And because they wanted his secrets, the scientist's secrets, and he was shot, so he was going to die. And so was the scientist. The scientist gave him the serum that he was working on to save his life instead of his own. And that's how this occurred. Very, very similar to Spider-Man in many regards. And he lamented, why it happened. and then he, like DS says, he went on a vengeance spree to get back at those that killed that scientist. And that's a very common comic trope, but one that really works well. I mean, we're talking about Batman, for example, the nth degree of that origin.
And here we're talking about Green Beret, right?
No, we're talking about Destructor, the one in front of you. This one here.
I was busy looking at that great Wallywood inks. Show that up close, man. It's got some great ink work on the cover there.
The Wallywood fanatic, of course, focuses on the Wallywood. By the way, they are good though. This is a very, very nice little cover here. Atlas Comics. Of course, he didn't stay on it forever, but it's only 4 issues anyway. But you have there their DS. There's a red dress. Well, not red blouse in distress.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that'll work.
But again, that's I guess that's why when we're comparing origins, the good origins are like the saying says, right, that copying is the highest form of flattery, right?
Yeah,
and that definitely happens here, because you can tell that this is something that that they purposely put so that it mimics Spider-Man's origin to a great degree.
That's cool. Tats Comics is here. Hey, welcome.
Hey,
Tori Vidal is blessing us with his knowledge of analysis. So good to have you guys. Thank you. And Brett Bottomley is here as well. I don't know if we got it. Hey, I owe that guy $20. So I'll get right on that. Your check's in the mail. Just don't stand by the mailbox during a thunderstorm. What else you got for us there, Roger?
Okay, well, that's one type of origin, and I guess this is another one I kind of want to discuss. It's a similar vein, I guess, but this is that one where triumph out of tragedy, right? Mm-hmm. Same kind of. This doesn't really involve the father figure unless you're talking about the warden. But here, it's that some people have these preconceived notions of people, right? If you're a convict in the past, you're always going to be that way, right? And these guards had it in for Luke Cage because he wouldn't kowtow to them, he wouldn't give in to them. He was his own man, and they rigged the experiment that he volunteered for to kill him, and it ended up giving him these powers. So major backfire there on their account. But again, triumph out of tragedy. That's the Luke Cage origin. And there's several like that.
Wasn't Major Backfire the Green Berets commanding officer?
Possibly. Yeah.
Major
possibly.
Backfire.
Yeah, that's very possible. I'm sure it's sometimes it's in the dicta of the script, so that could be it. Yes.
Well, some of my best battles of the Bronze Age and late Silver were his fights with etc. Man, Bob.
etc.
Right. Have you guys ever read that the generic comic book from Marvel?
I don't think I have.
No, I've seen it. I think I've seen it from you, honestly.
Right. I do have it. Yeah, I do have it. That is every single trope that you've ever seen in comic books is in that comic book.
Yeah, I think I learned about that from you, Roger. I don't think I was ever aware of that until you showed it at one point. We were talking.
Oh, if you ever see it cheap, pick it up.
I will definitely
like crazy. It's so tropish and everything. It's like it's the generic hero with generic costume, generic origin, everything, generic cast, the whole thing. But this is of course nothing generic about this, but again, you were talking about types of origins, and this is the one that that the hero came out of a tragic event.
And I like they use that a lot, obviously, in comics, and then they take that second step where it branches off and they can differentiate the characters and make it really spectacular with abilities where they have the trauma gives them motivation and it gives them the drive and the focus to do something, but they're usually lost in their misery or their trauma, so to speak, until there's that second event, like being bit by a radioactive spider or having a gamma ray blast or something, and that turns you into something that you can now use to accomplish or turn the trauma into a positive focus and have more of a mission. So there's like that two-step thing that happens a lot. There's the trauma, which is pretty similar in a lot of them, and by itself is not exciting enough for story. Then they add that second thing that just propels the character into this supernatural super abilities sort of thing. That's a cool like two-step for the comic characters.
Yeah,
and it's formulaic, but it's a great formula. And when it's pulled off right, you get stuff like Spider-Man, which is a pop culture icon globally. So yeah, it works.
Yeah, agreed. And yeah, it's a good point. That's a good point. It's not just the event; it's also what leads up to the event, and that the synergy of those two things converging that really makes it special origin. Yeah, good point.
Very cool. Kevin Taylor dropping some Swamp Thing award knowledge, and I'm just going to throw this book up there, and that is, what about Origins Retold? Where do you guys fall on that? Because some characters have had their origins retold, I don't know, 5, 6, 20, 100 times.
Yep. Captain America is definitely one of them. Yep.
And they change it ever so slightly as they go, as needed. A lot of times it's fairly much the same, but often it does change some. So what do you think about that? About them changing the origin or retelling it?
Well, I'll tell you, I think most of the time what occurs to me, and I could be wrong, but it feels to me like the artists and the writers that move on to the books over time, the new ones are like, ooh, let me tell the origin. Ooh, let me add something. Let me spice this up. And I feel like they want to add their own sort of flavor to the backstory of the character. And I don't have a problem with it at all. I think it's cool. It adds a lot more color to the background. But I feel like mostly that's done because the artists and writers, they want a shot at doing it too, because when you get put on Spider-Man and it's been going on for decades, you want a chance to add something to the backstory too, because you grew up reading this stuff. So I feel like a lot of it has to do with that. And everybody wants to add their own little creative touch to the backstory. And so they tweak the origin over time because of that reason. I could be wrong, but that's what it seems like that a lot of times.
Yeah, I agree. That definitely, or they want to introduce, they need something in there that they're going to work a twist in later. For the purpose of their run, we need to put something in there. Look at that old mystery men.
One of my favorite origins, which I'll talk about whenever you guys want.
Unless Roger, what would you like to say about Origins Retold? Anything?
The only thing I would say is that, like Cap, you guys hit it right on the head. I think you guys hit the exact two reasons why it happens. Captain America is a great example that initially, there wasn't that much talk about the Vita rays. There was just the injection, and then it was the injection in the Vita rays, and then it was Dr. Reinstein and Dr. Anderson, because they needed to have a kidnapping. They need to kidnap one of the origins of the formula so that the writer could create another character, another super soldier for the enemy. So yeah, you guys are both right. They create things both for plot elements and because they want to give their own little, they want to have a little part of that origin, whatever creator that is. Yeah. So those are both very good reasons for why origins are retold. And sometimes the little periphery, the facts in the periphery come out where in the original it was very basic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't honestly, in my experience from reading comics when I was a kid and then getting back into them now, it's not my experience that the writers and artists ever really think beyond that issue they're on. And a lot of times they're like, oh crap, well, we wrote about, let's go back and see what we wrote before and we got to make it fit with that. I don't feel like there's a lot of planning traditionally in comics. They're just sort of winging it for a one issue thing. And then it organically builds into a story arc over a number of issues in a way that wasn't planned, because you have different writers, different artists, and they're just sort of winging it as they go. And it organically develops into a very intricate, complicated past. And I think that's a lot of times what I see in comics. And they go back and try to change something because they want to do something new in the next issue or something. Or I don't think there's unless you get like Claremont X-Men, where he's got he probably charted out 40 issue story arc at once and then stuck with a pre-planned story for years, that's the exception. I think most of the time I feel like they're just doing a one-off issue, and then they're not really thinking about what's going to come next. They'll worry about that next month, and it organically develops. That's how I feel it mostly has been.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, good point. I agree. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes they do it to get themselves out of a continuity issue as well. That's happened all the time, like in Captain America's origin, where Submariner supposedly finds him but doesn't recognize him, so they said, oh well, he had amnesia,
Yeah
well,
that
because somebody messed up.
Why not?
They met various times in the 40s, so
yeah, well, they take it too far sometimes, where they're just like, oh no, this is a whole other universe. There's multiple other universes, multiple other
don't get me started.
Yeah, and then it's like
crap.
Yeah, it's sort of like well, there's a word in cinema for that, when it's sort of like a cop-out way to make things work. It's called a Deus Ex Machina, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Delivered by the hand of God.
And the classic version of that in cinema is when you have a story, but you didn't think of how you're going to end it. So at the end, you just wake up and it was all a dream. It's sort of like a cop-out. They do that a lot too, because they get themselves in such a mess. They're like, how do we get out of this now? Oh, there's multiple other realities out there. This is from that one. So, okay, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, like the Brand New Day deal with Spider-Man, where they essentially all his history was wiped out,
Yeah. Drive you crazy.
Yeah, it's all good.
Right.
No problem. It's all fiction anyway. I think sometimes people get a little too caught up in, oh, well, this is out of continuity. This doesn't work. Well, this doesn't count with I mean, you just got to sort of roll with it. I don't know. I don't like
continuity at all. I think every time another volume starts, continuity should be over. They should spend the first issue explaining what little parts they kept from the origin and move on. And that's a whole new story. Do whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah, it's sort of like artistic license. If they do a Marvel movie based on a comic book and they don't stick to the comic book, okay, well, it's a new work of art that's based on that, but they're doing their own interpretation of the characters and the stories and the interactions. The same with new artists and writers when they come on a comic. Things change. They just make up shit to make it fit. Whatever. I'm fine with that. I don't need continuity. I'm all right with you, but I'm with you, Bub. I don't care.
Doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us about this great origin story of the Mystery Men. Roger sent me a text backstage. He is most focused on the lady with the boob window on the far right of the Edge comic there. Could you focus in on that and then tell us the origin of that window?
Yeah, so this is Mystery Men 2. This is a Lou Fine cover, and this is actually the second ever robot cover. It's actually tied with Movie Comics 6, which is a cover story about a sci-fi movie, but it has a robot in it. And so that robot is on the cover of that. So that's tied with this. This is 1939. It's a Lou Fine cover, but the Golden Age, I don't feel like they had the most creative origin stories. Okay.
No.
Very, very standard stuff.
Yeah.
But this guy is Rex Dexter. Okay. So when Rex Dexter was a little kid, like 4 or 5 years old, his dad, a scientist, created a spaceship and took his wife and his young kid, Rex, on the spaceship on a vacation to Mars. And when they got to Mars for their little vacation, the ship broke and he couldn't fix it. So they're stranded on Mars, this family of 3. Over time, he sort of taught Rex things about the spaceship and about science and tech and all that stuff. Eventually, they're there for 20 or 30 years, and the parents pass away, and Rex is there by himself, still stranded on Mars all these years. He finally figures out or is able to fix the spacecraft and then returns to Earth. Of course, he doesn't know anybody on Earth, and to them, he just seems like a Martian now. He's just come from another planet. And of course, the Earth he returns to is, 30 years in the future. So of course, it's like super futuristic, right? So it's got a cool sci-fi element to it. And he's known as Rex Dexter of Mars. Even though he's from Earth, when he was stranded on Mars, his parents passed away, and he flew back in the spaceship as a grown man back to Earth to fight the evildoers in the futuristic Earth. Very cool origin story. Very cool There are no other sort of stories like that, backstories I know of that are. It's very unique. There's nothing else quite like it, and I just think it's such a cool backstory, origin for character, and especially since from the Golden Age, this stuff was very basic back then. These backstories, they weren't really thought out that much. So this one it's quite impressive for a backstory, and it lends itself to really cool sci-fi battles, which take place on Earth with a guy who's Martian, who was born on Earth. I don't know, cool all around. It's got a lot of cool elements to it. So
I like it.
Great. Yeah,
sounds
agreed.
good. And a similar thing happened to my family when we went to New Jersey to Six Flags Great Adventure, and the Toyota station wagon broke down. It was like being on another planet with no hope of ever getting home.
Oh man.
Yeah, this is like a sci-fi version of National Lampoon's Vacation.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
the family truckster
Yeah.
on the way to Joeasy.
Well, yeah, so this is the lowest grade book I own. You guys know I don't mess with restored books or incomplete books. This is missing the back cover. But it's such a good looking from the front, and it was cheap, and it's a Lou Fine cover. It's a 1939 book. It's such a cool character, and I don't know, I really dig it, so I figured why not just get this. So I made an exception. That tells you how much I like everything about this book.
Yeah.
Cool.
For real.
Very cool.
Well, I already told you my two favorite things on the cover, so let's see what there it is.
Well, there's the robots.
There's 7 robots.
Cool.
There's the woman, there's Rex, and you can see all this futuristic. It's like that retro sci-fi stuff in these early Fox books. So cool. It's like my favorite type of sci-fi art.
Oh yeah, and Lou
Even
Fine.
comics. Same deal.
I love it.
Can't go wrong with Fine. Yeah. Wow. What an artist. Yep.
Fantastic stuff. All right, Roger, what have you got to let us feast our little hungry eyes on?
Well, I wanted to compare, a couple origins here that Marvel did about a year apart. Both martial artists, but radically different characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Iron Fist is really he's really more like that revenge character, right? I mean, his father was killed by his partner, I believe, and his mother sacrificed herself, threw herself on a pack of wolves so that he could survive. And he was taken to a mystical, hidden, dimensional city for 10 years. And after that, the stars aligned, and he was able to come back to Earth to seek his revenge for that malfeasance. And he had to defeat this mystical dragon, and that's how he got his Iron Fist. So it's more of a very mystical fantasy type of origin, right?
Right.
And then you have very different Shang-Chi, which his was. I'm sorry, I thought you said something.
Oh, go ahead.
His was he was trained from birth to be the best of the best in martial arts and philosophy and tactics, et cetera, under false pretenses. He was supposedly he thought his father was an altruistic and benevolent man who wanted to help the world become a better place, and actually he was a hideous and sinister villain who wanted to rule it. And he came out of that place and realized, because his own moral compass told him that the events that occurred could not possibly be for a benevolent man. So again, very different, extremely different characters, but they both share a similar shtick, which is the martial arts. But other than that, there's really no similarities between these two. Daniel Rand was I believe he was a Anglo, and of course Shang-Chi originally was half Chinese and half American.
Well, I got to tell you, the way Shang-Chi's pappy did him, to raise him up thinking that he was going to be the best of the best, only to find out that he was training him to be the worst of the worst, is about as bad. Now, maybe you would categorize that under the family trauma moniker.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. Right.
know, because
Good
it's
point.
still that hard or lost relationship, you know.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah, good
rough.
point.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with either of these characters that much. I had no idea Iron Fist had more of a mystical realm to it. So I'll have to check that out. I really haven't owned those books or read them. I really don't know anything about Iron Fist or Shang-Chi. So that's a wealth of knowledge for me right there.
Cool.
Yeah, they're cool. I mean, I've always, you know me, I've always gravitated toward the martial arts characters. I mean, you know, in the 70s, you know, everybody was kung fu fighting, you know,
Yeah.
the whole thing, right? So I guess that really made an impression upon me. So all the martial artists from all the different publishers, I've always gravitated to them, and I'm sure that I'm being biased, right, in my absolute appreciation of them. But that's why I'm so you know, engaged with these characters, just because I grew up reading these dozens of times, and though very different, I do like them or appreciate them for very different reasons. They're both, to me, great characters.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never really read the martial arts comics, but I was always into martial arts cinema.
Mhm.
And one of the best films, one of my favorite films of all types, is The Five Deadly Venoms.
Mhm.
Yeah, that movie. It's not it's not your typical cheesy Hong Kong kung fu film. It's pretty developed and it's really cool.
Yeah.
And then of course the old series Kung Fu with Carradine. Sort of sounds like almost like a Shang-Chi sort of thing.
that actually, that originally, that's what this was going to be. They were actually going to do an adaptation of that character in that show, but they never got the permission to do it, so they just made their own character.
Yeah, that was cool. And then of course once I hit like 12 and 13, I went from the Chinese type of martial arts to the Japanese, and that was all about ninjas. I feel like that's a natural progression for a little boy in the 80s.
I think that's totally fair.
Yep,
I
that's
think
fair.
anyone's going to be
Absolutely.
upset with you about that one.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
So let's see. While you're showing that, or while you're moving those around, I will do a quick show of some of my favorite origins as well. The "Oh no, something bit me" origin, which is definitely, we've got a few of those, right? You got Werewolf by Night. Oh no, something bit me.
Yeah.
You got Spider-Man with the "Oh no, something bit me." Of course, various other iterations of Spider-Man as well. Who else do we have with the "Oh no, something bit me" syndrome?
Well, whatever vampire, you know.
Oh yeah, all the vampires out there. Blade has the "Oh no, something bit me," right?
Well, yeah, his mother was.
Well, his mother. Yeah, he was
yeah.
born 1 week, half and half.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, if you're talking about vampires, you know, like Baron Blood, for example, all those guys, you know, even Dracula himself, I believe, was bit by what was that vampire's name? I forgot what Marvel continuity, but it was this really weird looking vampire guy. So yeah, that happens a lot. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, the "Oh no, something bit me."
Oh no, something.
And
bit
then
me.
we have the "Science attacked me." Now this is funny because this is an origin delayed. We've talked about origins, you know, in the very first issue, first appearance origins with a baby, and then you go all the way to origins retold, right, in its various forms.
Yeah.
And then you sneak in a little bit of origin delayed with Weapon X. And this doesn't even, you can go even further and look at origins, right? Wolverine origins, if you want to go all the way back to, which I don't like any of that stuff. To me, this is the only origin I needed, was the origin of his abilities. But there you go.
Yeah, well, that
Windsor Smith action.
That origin didn't even exist until the 80s.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
You're talking, you know, what, we go from 3-ish?
Yeah.
74.
74 all the way to 1980.
88.
This one's 91.
91. Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow. So we're talking 16, 17 years.
Well, they sort of,
wow.
I don't think they did it on purpose, but with Wolverine, they made it so he didn't really know about his own background, and they sort of left it wide open so they could put anything in there. And then as the character developed, I feel like they came up with a story as an origin that would work, that would turn him into what they made him for the first, 10 to 15 years of the writing. and they had it wide open because he didn't really have an origin prior to that. And the one they came up with is spectacular because it ties into so many other things that you can do with that character after you add that origin in. That it adds a whole story that you can now incorporate going forward with characters and story arcs and people and places. So real cool with that one.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah,
and Brett Bottomley is working down his $20 credit down to 15 by reminding me that yes, that is true. Jack Russell did inherit it. His father also had it. It was a curse, I believe, as it turns out.
But somebody down the line was bit. Somebody down the line.
Somebody got bit. Brett. Somebody got bit. Thanks, Roger.
Oh man!
I'll throw another one up there just so we can get through a few of them. We're coming close on time. There's another great origin of Storm Shadow there. Gotta love that. Good stuff. And then here is Cave Woman origin story, and this goes. What was the oh boy for that one?
No, I didn't know she had an origin story. I thought she just was born in the cave as a cave woman.
No, it's actually a time travel deal.
Oh.
So she was transported to her father, transported them accidentally, of course, or got stuck there in this cave woman, in the cave time, dinosaurs and not cave people. It's just dinosaurs. So there's no indigenous cave people in this time. So it's dinosaurs and other weird creatures and things like that. And then also it's her grandfather. The grandfather dies. So you have a little bit of parental figure, or what do we say? Father figure death.
Mm-hmm.
So we got some of that going on too. And then she's left there by herself until all of a sudden a town appears. Her old town where she used to be from appears out of nowhere inside this time as well. So, and then the story, it's riveting stuff. It doesn't get real smutty till about 5 or 6 years after this. Then it's just junk. It's all about cover art after that. But during these initial ones, they had really good stories.
I had no idea.
Yeah, me either. No idea.
I just always know the covers are always great, and they're always have her on there, and there's always dinosaurs. They're always very well done. The Bud Root stuff especially.
Yeah, it's my favorite of that stuff. So there, we'll show that. We'll leave that one hanging on there. Let's see. DS is teasing us with some Doomage.
Well, I figured this is a recent pickup I haven't shown on this show, so I've got to show it. Probably the biggest book I picked up recently. So I mean, everybody knows about that Fantastic Four and Doom. So there's a origin story, but there's another type of origin story that. You have the chemicals, you have the being bit, you have the trauma and people being left for dead and all that. And then you have these cosmic rays, these radiation, these weird things in the universe, people being exposed to and turning into things like Phoenix or the Fantastic Four or the Hulk. And those are cool too, because especially when those origins are from an era where sort of radiation and exploration into space was just beginning to yield amazing sort of knowledge. And so it immediately got incorporated into the art and the culture. And you see that in comics too, with Hulk, Fantastic Four, stuff like that. I always say that wherever the limits of our exploration of the universe are at any given time, that stuff is always the most exotic and mysterious, and it always becomes big into pop culture stuff at that point. So you see a lot of gamma ray and radiation and space type accidents happening early on before we even got to the moon. You know what I mean? So very cool. I like the timing of these things from a historical standpoint. Like, we weren't going to even be on the moon for 7 more years. But the space race is just starting. There's Fantastic Four. So it's a sign of the times, and it's just so cool because of when it came about.
Yep. Ahead of the time.
Very
really.
cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know what the emergent technology of today would be that would cause rise to new heroes and villains. Maybe a Twitter monster or something like that.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of movies about AI
Yep.
And that started like in the 80s and into the 90s and became more advanced, where AI turning on us, our machines turning on us, from Terminator to more recent stuff like Ex Machina. Very cool. That's cutting edge. And then, of course, space, the further you go out in space and the more you learn about black holes and wormholes and time travel, that stuff seeps in. There's tons of that stuff now, alternate realities and time travel and wormholes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but if you go back to the 30s, you had like the jungles of Africa, the Orient, as they referred to it. The underwater deep sea stuff that was unknown, unexplored, at the cusp of knowledge, and it was very exotic and mysterious. And that stuff dominated arts and culture at the time. And I don't know. I think AI and time travel and stuff like that.
Not just that, but it captures the minds of the young who are excited about what could be out there and over there when they get out of the bosom of home,
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like the self-driving cars that are now a reality. 20 years ago, that was major science fiction.
I don't think me or DS will ever own one.
I won't, for a couple reasons.
No.
One, if you've ever watched Christine, I'm not messing with it. Okay, I don't need my car. I don't need my car becoming conscious and knowing things. I like my machines to just do what I tell them to do in an analog fashion. I don't want my machines helping me. I don't like the seatbelt beep that's helping me to remind me. I know it's not on. I don't like to wear it. You don't have to tell me. But I'll tell you, these cars, I've seen some of these Tesla self-driving cars just flat out 70 miles an hour crash into something that's obstructing the road, and they don't even see it. And these batteries in these cars, sometimes these cars just burst into flames. I see people driving on the highway and like YouTube videos. I don't actually see it. Asleep at the wheel because the car will drive. I mean, there's something seriously wrong with that from my point of view. When I drive, I like to drive. I like to feel the car and get a sense of it and be in control and just have the machine do what I tell it to do. I don't want my machines doing everything and helping me and communicating with me and reasoning with me. That's a scary thing for me and a lot of people, and it does seep into our current arts. So yeah, I'm never going to own one of those things.
Yeah, I really don't. I just don't want my car to be able to tell my wife that I stopped at Burger King on the way home. It's really, I can't have that.
Can't keep the records. Notice Bub is not worried about the
tracking.
self-driving aspect. It's the recording aspect.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
they got OnStar and all this stuff, and you don't need any of that.
Yeah, Tat's right, because look, I remember driving a truck that had when you turn the brakes on, you had to hit the button on the floor with your left foot.
Yep.
You just push your foot down.
Oh yeah, I had a car like that.
Brakes on and off.
Yep.
I mean, why did they get rid of that? That's perfect. You don't even have to take your hands off the wheel.
I loved that.
That was the best thing ever. I would never get rid of that.
And that click sound was so satisfying. Tink, chink, tink, chink. I loved it.
And it worked perfect. You could just keep your hands on the wheel and you could just tap that thing while you're going down backcountry road. Car's coming, tap, tap, it's off. And the car's gone, tap, tap, it's back on. So good. I don't know why they ever got rid of that.
Yeah, there's another one of my favorite movies, DS, is iRobot.
Yes.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Same kind of concept. And the main character there, he's also hates he uses a self-driving car, but he drives himself. And whenever he's driving down the road, people are like, oh my God, he's actually driving.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Man after my own heart right there.
There is a current, I know I'm scaring you guys and they're already clutching their wallets, but there is a current comic book that deals with this very situation. And right now it's getting some acclaim. It's only on issue number 2. I believe issue 3 be coming out soon. And it's called Not All Robots. I think it's from AW or something, maybe Upshot. I don't know. But if you look up Not All Robots, it's a current run that's going on, has a well-known writer on it. Just throwing that out there. I'm not trying to indoctrinate you guys into modern books, but that is a current run that's getting some acclaim for dealing with those very themes of how far is too far with letting robots into your lives.
Yeah, and if you want to see also
AI.
Another good example of when technology has gone too far, watch the series Black Mirror on Netflix.
Oh yeah, really good.
I mean, each episode is really like its own fabulous sci-fi movie. And each one points out some problem to technology, and I'm like, yes, that is why. I don't have one of these. What do you have, Siri or something where it talks to you? You say, hey, Siri, do this, and it just does stuff like in your house. I would never have that thing anywhere near me.
I think that's Alexa that you're talking about.
Alexa used to be Siri.
They both do it. They all do it. Yeah. I think, but DS might be a little bit further on that spectrum. He gets nervous whenever the drive-through box talks back to him. I don't know what these machines are asking me.
I don't like those either. I went to the bank the other day, and I'm waiting in line, and the manager there knows me because I always go in the bank to do deposits of checks and cash or whatever. I'm old school. I go in there, I fill out sign the back of the check, I wait in line, I go up to the teller, and she's like, oh, you can just do this. Or I had one time. She's like, oh, is the ATM not working? I was like, I don't know. How would I know if the ATM's working? I'm making a deposit. She's like, oh, well, you can do that deposit at the ATM. And I was like, yeah, no thanks. And so the next time I come in, she's like, oh, you can do this deposit from home. You don't even have to come in. You can just take a picture of it. And the manager, every time I come in, somebody's trying to help me with some new tech to do deposits.
Yep.
She's like, just stop. He likes to do it in person. Like, I'm like the weirdo. Just stop. He's one of the weird ones that likes to come in the bank to do his deposits. Yeah, I like to bring my physical objects to a person and hand them over. And then I'm always like, yeah, can I get a receipt? She's like, you want a printed receipt or email? I'm like, no, I want a receipt.
I want a physical paper.
I don't want I want a piece of paper with it on there, because then when I get it, I'm going to go check my account and back it up. I mean, what, am I the weirdo here? I mean, this world's upside down. Right?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Oh,
absolutely.
Boy. I'm partially with you. I still think some technology can be used for good and does advance things, but some things are taken too far.
Roger wings his email address out to anyone that'll offer 5% off a roast beef sandwich. So don't.
Well, that's one of the best benefits and uses of tech I've heard all day. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you, I see people going for walks, walking their dog, and they're staring at their phone, and walking on the street, walking in the park, and they're got their headphones on, they're staring at their phone. Like, we go for walks, we don't even take our phones. We walk and we actually look at the world around us and listen and talk, and it's like an experience of being in the world. I mean, it's just like everybody's on their damn phones all the time. And at a certain point, tech is no good, man. It's undermining a natural state of things, and it's no good.
Yeah.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
We believe you. And that you're sticking to it.
I believe you.
Roger, what do you got? What are you showing us them there? Guardians of the Galaxies with the absolute worst cover art ever to be on a premiere issue. No, go ahead.
Yeah, it's true. Gene Colan did this one, and it's not pretty.
No,
kind of bland colors.
That one.
Yeah. But I pulled it out of a dollar bin back in the 80s, so big deal, right? So, we've been talking about individual origins, but what about origins where you first see these characters come together as a team and the circumstances that precipitated it? And like, Fantastic Four, well known. You had the scientist, you had his student who was, had a crush on him, and then the brother, and of course the old time friend who was the pilot. But here you have four individuals who they're except for Fantastra, they were the last survivors of their race, or at that point, because they were being exterminated by another race of beings from other planets. And they found themselves in the same battle. And once they started to realize who they were, they said, well, since we don't have anybody else, we have each other. We are the ultimate outcasts here, essentially. And that sort of coalesced into a team with a goal of not letting this occur anymore, this kind of extermination without provocation. So I thought it's an interesting concept for an origin. Obviously the art here is not the best at all, but this, of course, later on evolved into whole different characters, which, as we all know, had movies, et cetera, et cetera. But this is where the original concept started, though, in Marvel Superheroes 18.
Yeah, and I
Very
think that
nice.
book initially took off with the movies and quickly tanked again because people ran out to like, oh, Guardians of the Galaxy is awesome. This is such a good movie. I'm going to start reading the comics. And let me go get the first appearance. And they're looking at that and they're like, where's Groot? Where's Rocket? And they're like, what is this crap? This is not the Guardians. I'm not buying this.
No.
And then so that was the end of that. It's so far removed from the movie version of Guardians that it's not even, I mean, it's not even the same really at all.
No. You have Yondu here, but very different. He was not a Reaver or anything. I mean, he was the last survivor of Century 4, I think. So very different. This is a very different concept from the movie. It has, like you said, really no resemblance to it. It's just a bunch of guys that happen to be the last survivors, and they found themselves in the same situation and said, hey, since we have nobody else left, let's act together and not let this happen to others. And that was their motivation.
That is good. And each of their origins even though there's individual people, their origin is all the same. It just took place in different places. So,
correct.
They all have the same backstory essentially that caused them to join a team. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. And Rocket is another one with the experimental origin, the science experimental origin. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Groot, his origin is not, the current Groot is not even the same as the original Groot. The original Groot was a monster.
He was a villainous monster. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and he actually spoke more than just saying "I am Groot." He actually was able to speak.
Yes.
And, but then they retconned him, or whatever you want to call it, and then they turned him into what he is now, which is cool. I don't have a problem with it, but I think they basically just took an image and used that image to make a new character. That's really not Groot.
Yeah, the same thing they did with Yondu. Same thing with Star-Lord and Gamora. And even Drax really he's probably the most similar to his original, but they're all very different from their original concepts. Yeah.
Which I have no problem with. When I watch a movie, I look at it as just a variant of something. It's just another version of something. Yeah. And I never have a problem with the characters changing too much. Once they made Wolverine 6'5", I was done with caring about accuracy, comic book character accuracy. Right. And that happened to me too early on. I'm like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing now.
Well, look, the MCU, they hit it out of the park with Guardians of the Galaxy movies. The Avengers movies and then the Guardians of the Galaxy, those are the two best movie franchises that they've put out, I think. And it doesn't have much relation to the history of the Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever, but I'm totally fine with that because those movies are awesome. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, they're pretty
I'll
good.
show a couple more. Here's some more. Just run through my science ones because we're at the hour mark.
Okay.
So there's some She-Hulk action there. Some more science gamma ray fun. Just so happens we're also cousins with the big guy, and then some more. Oh, something's in my eyes.
the old radiation rod.
Yeah, the old radiation rod in the eye with Daredevil. Yep, you heard it right.
Yeah, in the 40s and in the 50s especially, radiation in comic books, being exposed to radiation, all it did is make your skin melt and make for a really gory cover. They used it to better effect in the Silver Age, I think. They did much more. Because in the 50s, radiation all it did was melt bodies.
Yeah, death.
Yeah, death and destruction in the 50s in the comics.
Well, that's pretty much closer to the actual effect.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. Yeah. I don't think being bombarded with gamma rays, I feel like my PCH is a more accurate reflection of that than the Hulk. Really.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Fair enough. All right, Roger, you're going to show us some, or DS. What do you got there? Is that just some Mysterio action?
Origins, and this is like one of the most classic origins. I figured it's a new Spider-Man book I picked up, so I figured I'd just drop it on here and show it. So Mysterio, I feel like the DC version is Mr. Miracle. Very similar characters. I don't know, Spider-Man, we already talked about his origin, but just a new Spidey book I picked up for my Spidey set I've been working on this year, so I figured I'd show it. Mysterio's cool. I was underwhelmed by that movie with him, and I don't know. It was. I watched it the second time and a third time, and it's gotten better. I think I was expecting more from it the first time, and I was disappointed. But as I've rewatched it, it's gotten better. But I still feel like it killed Mysterio at the end. But I'm trying. Every time I watch it, I'm trying to think: is there a way he's not dead so they can bring him back? Because if they're going to do Sinister Six, so I don't know. It's a decent movie. But anyway, there you go.
He's been killed, you know, in quotes, many times, and because he is Mysterio, you know, and he is the master of misdirection and illusion. Yeah. He always finds he either had somebody else in costume or it was some kind of automaton or something. So they'll find a way to bring.
Yeah, so I'm curious how they're going to do it, because every time I watch that movie, he's definitely dead. Like, they have so many tricks at the end, and it flips again, and it flips again, and finally it's the real one, and he literally kills him, and I don't see any way out of it. I mean, obviously they will, but yeah, I just keep watching that. I'm like, there's no way they can. There's no way. He's definitely dead. Like, he's definitely dead. They can't. But I'm sure they will. But it's just interesting to see how they're going to do it, because he's totally dead at the end of that movie.
Right.
Yeah, it would seem that way, but you know, it's Mysterio, so you can always get away with it. That's the idea, right?
Yeah.
At any time. All right, Roger, show us your last book.
Yeah, last three. Another. Well, this is one of those where this is another kind of trope, right? Like when you showed the She-Hulk, like the cure that has, you know, side effects that create superpowers, right? And that's the case with the original origin. I think it's been changed since then, but she was dying of, I think, some kind of. They were in the Wungador, and she was dying of some kind of radiation poisoning or something, and so he injected her. His father was a scientist, I believe, and injected her with the experimental spider venom or something, and put her in a genetic accelerator. And years later, she came out. You know, this is a young girl. Years later, she came out cured and with all these magnificent powers. So again, you know, the She-Hulk was more like instantaneous, and this one was, you know, took a while and a little bit more convoluted. But again, that's a kind of a trope also, that the cure creates the superpowers or the abilities of the character.
Yeah. I agree. That's a good one.
Of course, DS's favorite here, E-Man.
There it is, E-Man.
I thought it was going to be the Human Fly.
Well, this again, and again, we have origins, and this one is really not an origin. It's just sort of how he was created. Essentially, he was just a force, and there was a big bang of some sort, like a nova level explosion, and he somehow through that became, had regained a consciousness. And he was very naive, and he was, formless until he came across Earth and saw that they were, beings that actually had some kind of form. So he took that form, and then of course he, like when he came down to Earth, he met Nova Kane, and she sort of instructed him about humanity and so forth. And he just happened to be there just in time to save the world from the Brain and the Bomb. So a very hokey, very simplistic origin.
Hokey? What do you mean hokey? That's totally plausible.
more like those golden age science fiction-y kind of origins, I would say. That's just sort of no real good explanation. It just sort of happened,
I like those. But it works on that level, because what they do is just say, look, in a world you know nothing about, these are the rules. And they, jump through them in a couple of seconds. You're like, okay, I get it. In this world, this happens. And then move on with the story. I'm good with that.
Oh, and that's exactly what happened, So anyway, but, again, it's hokey, it's corny, but I love it. What can I say? When you pick it up off the stands in 1973 and that's what you knew, it sticks with you,
Well, you're not going to get any complaints from me for being a fan of hokey and corny, because I like Batman and Robin for the same reason. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. We all have our little.
Not everything needs to be so involved, and you have to put so much
I
thought.
like hokey. I like corny, but I gotta draw the line at Clooney.
I mean, I like Machine Man.
No
when they-
Clooney.
No Clooney. Hokey's good. Corny's better. No Clooney.
I mean, I thought Machine Man was good. I know you guys sort of bashed it on that other show you do, Roger, but I like that for the same reason. It's just good, cheesy 70s fun. It's
Right.
yeah. It's
Well,
just one of the things.
I love the character. I really do love the character, Machine Man. Just that particular issue was kind of over the top hokey, you know. But
it was, yeah. I like it though. It's cool.
Yeah. And I'll finish up with this, guys. The supernatural origins, right? You know, whether it was a spell or whether it was some kind of mystical event that occurs that creates the superpower. I'm not going to say a lot about Super Green Beret. Essentially, this was some medicine man, kind of witch doctor from the Vietnam War, who was
it was Shazam. It's just Shazam.
It's Shazam, very similar.
They even put a Shazam Thunderbolt in the corner. They're not even trying to hide it.
Yeah, he was rescued by an American GI, and because of that, he was given this magical beret that when he wears it, he essentially gets whatever power he needs, and he gives it to this kid because he doesn't think, you know, that it actually would work. And when he puts it on, he becomes Super Green Beret. So that's very, very hokey, but it has supernatural elements. Then we have the very serious supernatural origin, of course, Ghost Rider, another father figure kind of thing, where he makes a deal with the devil to ostensibly save Crash Simpson. Doesn't read the fine print, and you know, he doesn't die from the sickness, but he dies from the crash, and he still has to deal with the curse that was levied upon him by Satan. So a real character lesson there. Never make a deal with the devil. You always come out on the short end.
Yep. That was a good one, though. I like that origin. I would like to say that the Legion of Monsters have a great little origin together too, but that's another book that got bashed on Roger's other show. And let me tell you something. My agents have been hard at work canceling the shows of everyone else that's on this show, and that one's in our crosshairs, Roger. We're gonna take that show down.
Okay. We like the challenge.
I think the only person who ever won after making a deal with the devil was little Johnny.
When he went down to Georgia?
Yeah. When the devil went down to Georgia, he was looking for a soul to steal because he was way behind. I feel like little Johnny took that deal and he made devil regret it. That's about the only time I could think of that was a good idea.
Well, there was the Devil and Daniel Webster as well, but that was one on legal kind of terms. So,
yeah, was that the guy who invented the dictionary?
No.
Oh, was that his mother Miriam?
No.
No. I'm getting my history confused.
You really are.
All right, guys, we've done it. We've wasted more than an hour and 20 minutes going on.
Oh my!
Of these fine folks' times. Thank you, everybody who joined in. We had Brett and Tat and people's Knights of Old sliding in late. I felt like he had a comment earlier, but it disappeared. Maybe he thought better of it, removed it. I don't know. So Bill is here and Kevin Taylor making a rare appearance live. Southern Comic Geek was here for a minute. Mark Knapp, Slim Comics and more. Agu Rhythm. Tim the Comic Collector. Oh my goodness, the list goes on and on. Of course, Kavi and Las Cruces and Unruly. You guys just really blessed us with your presence tonight. Thank you so much. Gore Vidal stopped by. Anyone I'm forgetting, I'm sorry. Jambo was here.
Jambo.
J Hood Creative. I mean, you guys really showed up tonight. Bad Dad Morse here. Yep. Thank you all for being here. Anybody I forgot just because I scroll faster than I can think. So thank you all for being here. And we're hope to be back again next week if DS can get all his stuff lined up. But we'll have a show and hopefully he can join us again. What have you got going on your fine channel there, DS, or any of the channels on which you're still allowed to perform?
Well, Well, we're sort of bi-weekly on the Golden Guys, which is on Comic Core Tuesday nights. So we are doing a show tomorrow night at 10 p.m.
Okay.
My Thursday show is no longer, and I have no content on my own channel as of now. And as soon as I can get some time, get some more people to come work at my day job where it can give me myself some more free time, I'll start putting some content out on my own channel. But other than that, I'm pretty active on Instagram. So anybody can hit me up there, and I'm always available. But other than that, Golden Guys on Tuesday nights. Check that out.
Yep. Agreed.
Absolutely. And let's see who's Roger. What do you got going on your channel?
Oh, let's see. This Thursday is the roundup during, pre-recorded, and then that night we do have that show that you want to get off the air, but it's still it's one of those last bastions of rebellious comic content on the YouTubes, and that's Graders Notes, where we're gonna be tackling Star Brand #1. So that was an origin issue as well. So,
well, keep up the good work on that show, Roger, because I watch it when I can, and hold the line, because everything devolves into the same crap eventually on YouTube and in the comic community. So you need to hold firm to these unique, interesting, obscure sort of topics, because they are becoming more and more rare out there, I feel like.
Or at least cling to a gimmick, like not showing your faces.
Yeah,
anything you can do.
Yeah,
we've been a long time.
We've been very faithful to that gimmick, and we haven't noticed everybody out. Well, not everybody, but most everybody out there loves to be out in front of the camera. Not us. We show the books. We don't show us.
No, most other streams I may not have to wear pants, but I do have to wear a shirt. On this one, I can go a la natural.
Yeah, you can go commando if you wish, the whole bit.
Absolutely. And so Roger, on your channel, are you gonna have a oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
So what's happening? Oh, Liz is here. Are you even gonna say hello, Roger?
Hello, Roger. I mean, hello, Liz.
I see. All right. Roger's gotta get going. He's gotta go park the dog. Or whatever.
No more dog, I'm afraid. She's in doggy heaven.
Oh no!
Oh, sorry to hear that, Roger.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, she passed away a few weeks ago, I'm afraid. So.
Oh, that's a shame. Just old age or what?
Yeah. She was just ran out of gas. That's it.
All right. Well, may we all be so lucky.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. I run out of gas almost daily, and yet I'm still.
Well, and your wife
is do it all again tomorrow.
Too, because, gas in the house. That's not cool.
That's true. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, we're gonna see you again next week for sure. DS, hopefully again next week.
Yeah, I'd say I'm 50 for next week.
Good deal.
Please try, because we miss you. We miss you like to death here.
That's how I feel too. Same way, Roger.
All right,
all right. And I've got I dropped a haul today from DS. I know that you don't like to watch my videos as much as you used to, because you're a very busy man, and I just don't rank as high as that. He's not interested. But I'm telling you, I picked up more Golden Age at this convention than I ever have picked up in a single place in my life.
Yeah, well, I saw your post on Instagram, and I was like, I need to check that video out, because it looks like you got some good stuff. So
it's on my watch list. Yep.
And get ready to watch Wednesday morning's haul as well, because it's a Golden Age extravaganza.
Nice.
Extravaganza.
All right, yeah.
There's gonna be a bunch. Yeah, so super awesome. So check that out. Does any show book hauls? Yeah, I do. And it's funny is that I hear that a lot. Like people will be like, it's an old-fashioned comic haul. Nobody does that anymore. I'm like, really? I do it 3 times a week. You guys are killing me. And by that I mean like not my pre-orders or what just came out this week. It's not a new comic book day haul necessarily, which get a little bit repetitive because everyone's kind of going after the same books most of the time. But I'm picking up new books every week that's new to me that a lot of people haven't even seen before, unless they're hunting bronze and silver and and gold, and a little bit of copper. So, and a couple of moderns if they are of the right artist and they present lovely. So, but yes, I do comic calls. Welcome to BUB'S World.
Moderns are very popular, and the modern spec and all that stuff, it's super popular. So I get that. But there's so much of that on YouTube as opposed to how it used to be, where it was just haul videos. Somebody went to a con or somebody got mail calls or whatever. I mean, there's still some people doing it, but it used to be that. Now it's all auctions and modern spec stuff, which is cool. That's what people are into, so it gets a lot of views.
I tell you.
But it makes the good old-fashioned haul videos now a rarity instead of what it used to be the norm. It's just
I would rather, and I have some success at it every now and then. Somebody will hit me up. Today, somebody hit me up and said, I fell in love with one of the books you showed, and I went out and bought the only copy that was available.
Yeah, nice.
There's only one book available, and the poor guy paid 5 times what I paid for it. But if I can transfer my passion for a book to someone else, that to me is much more real than just saying you need to run out and buy this book before the price goes up, or you need to run out and get this because someday you can sell it to somebody else for more money.
Agreed.
To me,
agreed. 100%.
To me, I want to transfer my passion for what I love to other people. And if it doesn't stick, hey, less competition.
Yeah,
but
but
if it does stick, then they'll say, hey, I saw that book first on BUB'S World, and that's what I like.
Yeah, the most enjoyable thing for me, and I know you guys both agree because you do the same thing, is showing off books and talking about books that people have never seen before. And whenever somebody's like, wow, DS, I've never seen that book before. It might be a $10 book, it might be a $5,000 book, but if they've never seen it before, that is the best feeling. And Roger, you do that. You have such a broad range of stuff that people have never seen before. Bub, you do the same thing. And then I love putting something out on Instagram and people are like, wow, never seen that before. That's the best thing.
Agreed.
I like
100%.
stuff like this. And, hopefully if the comic market keeps going like it is, I'll sell everything and be retired, and I'll be available every Monday night. But other than that, I like to show books that people haven't seen before. That's the most fun thing.
Yeah, that's about right. And Tat just dropped a video. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. I know I watched it today, but I don't know when he dropped it. But it was a long haul video from kind of like I had done from a convention he went to. And let me tell you, it's a great story of time that he spent with his family. And it's just a great story. It's a long video, and I know how that is. I just put out a 20-something minute video today. I'm putting out another 20-something minute video on Wednesday. Take them in parts when you have to, but it's worth a full watch on his video. It's just absolutely fantastic stuff, and tons of books and runs that other people aren't going after. Silver Surfer Volume 3. No matter what AG Surfer says, Volume 3. Who's hunting that right now? Those are books that you can get, like Alex Comic Hoarder. He likes to send me little messages and say, I love how you're looking where other people aren't. So, Tat's doing that too. So check out all these great, everybody sub everybody. That's so everybody sub everybody. And we'll catch you next week. We got to get out of here, guys. My drink's going to get hot or my drink's going to get cold. I haven't decided which one I'm going to get yet. All right, what should we show off to these fine folks? Ooh, that cave woman, nobody ever sees that. This is a book that
never.
It's true.
A lot of
not
people
on your
are
channel,
and nobody ever shows. So
not on your channel. No.
All right, so we'll catch you next week on BUB'S World for the No Faces Comic Chat. Remember to read a comic. Oh wait, DS wants to tell you do your homework. Metarog says be blessed and be back, and I'm going to tell you to read a comic and don't apologize for the glare. Bye bye.